Sometimes the hardest conversations are the ones we need to have the most. Talking about my mother feels like unraveling a tapestry of emotions, complicated, painful, but necessary for healing. When I reflect on my relationship with my mother, it's like looking into a mirror. There's beauty, but also deep cracks that reflect all the unresolved pain and misunderstandings. I want to share with you the reality of my thoughts and feelings about my mother. It's not just about the love, but the hurt, the disappointment, and the longing for something that could never quite be. Navigating a mother-daughter relationship is one of the most complex journeys I've ever been on. It's not just about the moments of joy, but also the times I've felt lost, misunderstood, and searching for answers. Growing up with a mother who didn't understand me has left me with a mix of emotions: love, anger, confusion, and above all, a yearning for connection that has often felt out of reach. We often talk about the beauty of motherhood, but what happens when that beauty is clouded by pain, unspoken words, and expectations that go unmet? That's the reality I'm living with. I'm finally ready to open up about the struggles I've faced with my mother. It's not just a story of love, it's a story of unmet needs, hurt feelings, and a bond that, at times, feels broken. Every conversation with my mother has layers of meaning, many of which remain unsaid. Today, I want to unpack those layers, to bring to light the thoughts and feelings that have been buried for far too long. There are moments when I feel both grateful and resentful toward my mother. The love I have for her is undeniable, but so is the pain that comes from feeling I'm unseen, unheard, and unimportant. Motherhood is complex, and the relationship between a mother and her child can be filled with as much hurt as it is with love. I want to talk about that complexity, the hard truths that come with it. When I think about my mother, I feel a whirlwind of emotions. There's love, yes, but also a deep sense of loss. A loss of what could have been, a loss of the connection I so desperately wanted. There's a part of me that always longs for the mother I never had, the one who could hear me, understand me, and love me without conditions. But what if that part of me has to learn to love what is, not what could be? I've spent so much time trying to meet my mother's expectations, but in doing so, I lost sight of my own needs. Now, I'm learning how to rebuild my relationship with her and, more importantly, with myself. The bond between a mother and child is supposed to be unconditional, but that doesn't always mean it's perfect. I'm here to talk about the imperfections in my relationship with my mother, the parts that still hurt. There are days when I feel like I'm invisible to my mother, Her love is distant, her words sharp, and I can't help but wonder if I'll ever be able to bridge the gap between us. I have learned that sometimes love isn't enough to heal deep wounds. The damage that can be done between a mother and a child can take years to unravel, and I'm still in the middle of that process. There's a delicate balance between love and pain in every mother-child relationship. Sometimes it feels like I'm walking a tightrope, trying to keep the love alive while dealing with the weight of old wounds. The hardest thing about talking about my mother is that I can't separate the love I feel from the hurt I've experienced. They're intertwined in ways that are hard to explain, but impossible to ignore. I've always been told that mothers are supposed to nurture, but sometimes I feel like I was left to figure things out on my own. I want to share the raw truth about what it's like when the nurturing doesn't come. It's easy to paint my mother as a villain in my story, but that wouldn't be the full truth. The truth is more complicated. There's love, but also a lot of unresolved tension and a longing for something deeper. I've spent so much of my life trying to make my mother proud, but the more I've tried, the further I've felt from her. I'm learning now that it's not about proving my worth, but accepting the person I am with or without her approval. What happens when the person who is supposed to love you unconditionally also wounds you? That's the question I'm grappling with as I reflect on my relationship with my mother. No one tells you that growing up with a mother who doesn't understand you can leave scars. Scars that you carry into adulthood. Scars that shape how you love, how you trust, and how you see yourself. My thoughts about my mother are a mixture of love, pain, disappointment, and hope. I want to share with you what it's like to carry these emotions every day and still try to maintain some semblance of a relationship.